The wind sweeps across the Heartland ranch, carrying more than the scent of horses. It carries a secret. A secret that's been waiting in the shadows, ready to change everything the Fleming Bartlett family believes about love, trust, and the past. When silence becomes heavier than truth, someone has to speak. But at what cost? The morning sun rises over Heartland, painting the fields in soft gold. Amy stands by the fence, her hands resting on the worn wood, eyes fixed on Spartan in the distance. He's restless today, pacing back and forth, as if he too can sense that something is not right. The air feels different, heavier. It's not just another morning on the ranch, it's the beginning of something that's been hidden for too long. Jack walks up quietly, his steps slow, his face carved with thought. He doesn't speak right away, and neither does Amy. The silence between them says enough. They've both been through too much to not recognize when something's off. Jack finally breaks the silence, his voice low and steady. "You've been quiet lately," he says. Amy looks down at her hands, brushing away invisible dust. "Just thinking," she replies, but her tone gives her away. She's not just thinking, she's remembering. Inside the barn, the smell of hay and leather mixes with the faint sound of a horse snorting. Amy walks in, trailing her fingers along the saddle rack. Each mark, each scratch tells a story of rides taken, of moments shared. Her heart feels heavy. She knows that keeping secrets has never led to peace, but telling the truth might open old wounds she's not ready to face. There's something she found, a letter tucked away in one of her mother's old journals. A letter not meant for her eyes. Outside, the ranch hums with life. Lou is on the phone, pacing near the porch, her voice tense as she argues about a council meeting. Katie watches from a distance, sensing something deeper than politics troubling her mother. And in the background, the hills seem to listen. There's always been an unspoken understanding in this place that what happens at Heartland stays within its fences. But secrets have a way of slipping through cracks, carried by whispers and long looks. Amy steps out of the barn, holding that letter, her heart pounding. She thinks about showing it to Jack, but she stops. She remembers her mother's handwriting, the words she read, the name she saw at the bottom, one she didn't expect. Her thoughts race, but the world around her feels painfully still. She folds the letter again, tucking it into her jacket, deciding for now that silence is safer. Yet, as she looks at the sky turning orange with evening light, a small voice inside her wonders how long she can keep pretending that nothing has changed. The first sign of trouble isn't loud, it's quiet. It's a pause between breaths, a look that lasts too long, a moment of hesitation before answering a simple question. Heartland has always been about healing of people, of horses, of hearts. But healing can't start until the truth is spoken. And tonight, as the stars begin to show, Amy knows that keeping this secret might just be the hardest thing she's ever done. The night wraps itself around Heartland like a quiet warning. The crickets hum softly, and the barn lights glow faintly in the distance. Inside the house, Amy sits by the window, unable to sleep. The letter rests on the table beside her, edges worn from her fingers, tracing it over and over. Every word on that page feels heavier now, as if the ink itself holds the power to undo everything she thought she knew. Outside, the horses shift in their stalls, uneasy. Even they can feel when something isn't right. Amy's reflection stares back at her from the glass-tired eyes, a mind racing between fear and duty. She thinks about her mother, about the way Marian used to tell her that honesty was the foundation of strength. But Amy isn't sure if she's strong enough for the truth this time. The letter mentions a name, someone connected to the ranch, someone still around. She reads the line again in her head, trying to make sense of it. It was never meant to be found. Those words ring louder than the night outside. Downstairs, Jack pours himself a cup of coffee, even though it's long past midnight. He senses something's wrong. He always does. When Amy joins him, he doesn't ask what's keeping her awake. He just nods toward the empty chair, the unspoken invitation of a man who has seen enough life to know that silence often says more than words. Amy sits, her hands wrapped around a mug that's too hot to hold. The warmth feels good, though grounding, steady, safe. "I found something," she says at last. Her voice trembles, but she holds his gaze. Jack doesn't speak. He waits, patient as always. Amy reaches into her jacket, pulling out the letter. She places it on the table between them. The room feels smaller suddenly, as if the walls are leaning in to listen. Jack looks down at the folded paper, recognizing the handwriting before she even explains. Marian's handwriting. He hesitates before touching it, like it's something sacred. "Where did you find this?" he asks. Amy explains quietly how she found it tucked inside an old journal. Her words come slowly, each one careful, like stepping on thin ice. Jack opens the letter, reads a few lines, and stops. His jaw tightens, his eyes shift. The silence that follows isn't empty, it's full of memories, regret, and something that feels like fear. Amy can tell he knows more than he's letting on. "You knew," she says softly. Jack looks at her then, eyes filled with a sorrow she's never seen before. "Some secrets," he says, "aren't mine to tell." His voice breaks just slightly, enough for Amy to feel the weight of those years between them. Outside, the wind picks up, whistling through the trees like a whisper. The horses neigh restlessly, and the barn door creaks open with a slow groan. Amy stands, looking out toward the ranch. It feels different now, less like home, more like a question waiting for an answer. She wants to ask Jack what he's hiding, what Marian never said, but something stops her. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's love, or maybe it's the simple truth that sometimes knowing too much changes everything. As she steps outside, the cold air bites her skin, and the stars above feel too distant to offer comfort. She looks toward the horizon and whispers to herself, "Two can keep a secret. If one of them stays silent," the words hang in the night like a promise or maybe a warning. Heartland has always been a place of healing, but tonight, it feels like the start of a storm that no one is ready to face. The dawn rises softly over the Heartland Valley, spilling gold across the hills, but the beauty feels hollow. Amy moves through the morning chores like a ghost, her body working out of habit while her mind is tangled in questions that won't let her rest. The letter still burns in her thoughts, its words echoing louder than the wind that rushes through the open fields. Each stall she cleans, every horse she feeds, feels like a distraction from a truth that's inching closer with every breath. Jack's truck engine hums in the distance as he drives out to check the far pasture, leaving behind the silence Amy now fears. Inside the barn, she pauses by Spartan's stall. He's calm today, his dark eyes watching her as if he knows something she doesn't. She strokes his mane, her voice barely a whisper. "What would Mom want me to do?" she asks, though no one's there to answer. The horse nudges her shoulder, and she almost smiles. Almost. Lou walks in a few minutes later, her hair still messy from sleep, clutching a mug of coffee. "You were up early," she says, half teasing, but Amy's face gives her pause. "Everything okay?" she adds, softer now. Amy nods quickly, but Lou can tell. She always can. The sisters share that strange connection, the kind where silence can feel louder than words. "It's nothing," Amy says, turning away. "Just couldn't sleep." Lou studies her for a moment, sensing that there's something behind those words, but she doesn't press. Not yet. Outside, the ranch comes alive, Caleb working with a new horse, Katie laughing somewhere near the fence, the faint sound of hammers from the barn repairs. But even in the warmth of the morning sun, Amy feels the chill of the secret she's carrying. The letter wasn't just words, it was a revelation. A name that shouldn't have been there. A truth that connected someone from their past to their present in a way she can't ignore. Later, as Amy brushes Spartan in the open pen, a truck pulls into the driveway. Dust rises in its wake, and her stomach tightens. She recognizes the vehicle. It's been years, but some things you don't forget. When the door opens and a tall man steps out, time feels like it folds. He looks older, tired maybe, but the familiarity hits her hard. Jack walks toward him, his posture stiff, unreadable. Amy watches from a distance, her heart pounding, realizing this might be the person the letter spoke of. Their voices carry faintly on the breeze. Jack's is rough, cautious. The man's tone is calm, careful. There's history in the space between them, history Amy was never meant to know. She steps closer, the gravel crunching under her boots. Both men glance her way, and in that instant, she understands. The secret wasn't just about the past, it's standing right there in front of her, flesh and blood. Jack clears his throat, his words slow. "Amy," This is someone you should have met a long time ago. The man nods politely, but there's something in his eyes, a shadow of regret. Maybe guilt. You look just like her, he says quietly, and Amy freezes. The words feel like a puzzle piece sliding into place, one she didn't know she was missing. She looks from him to Jack, searching for an explanation, but neither speaks. The air feels thick now, charged with questions. Amy's voice finally breaks through, trembling but strong enough to be heard. You both knew, she says, her eyes glistening. Jack's silence is answer enough. For a moment, all she can hear is the wind moving through the trees, carrying away the peace she once felt in this place. The man takes a step closer, but Amy backs away. Her world feels smaller now, not because of what's changed, but because of everything that was hidden from her all these years. She turns toward the open field, her chest tight, her mind spinning. The ranch, her sanctuary. Her world now feels like a stranger's land. Every fence post, every path, every whisper of the breeze seems to carry a question she isn't ready to face. The truth has finally come to light, and it's far more tangled than she ever imagined. The evening sky bleeds into shades of rose and amber as the ranch falls quiet. The kind of quiet that feels fragile, like one wrong word could shatter it. Amy stands by the corral fence, watching the horizon swallow the last of the sun. Her hands grip the wood so tightly that her knuckles pale. Behind her, the weight of everything unsaid presses closer with each breath. The letter, the stranger's words, Jack's silence, it all lingers in the air, heavy and unrelenting. She hears footsteps on the gravel. Slow, measured, familiar. Jack! For a moment, she wishes it wasn't him. She doesn't want another quiet conversation that dances around the truth. Not tonight. Not after what she's just learned. He stops beside her, staring out at the same fading light. Neither of them speaks. The silence stretches until it feels unbearable. Finally, Amy's voice cuts through it, low but firm. How long were you going to keep it from me? Jack doesn't answer right away. He exhales slowly, the sound rough, tired. I wasn't sure it would do any good to tell you, he says. Some things, they belong to the past. Amy turns to him, her eyes sharp, filled with hurt. The past doesn't stay buried when it's standing in my driveway, she says. Her voice cracks, but she doesn't back down. You should have trusted me, Jack. You always told me that family means honesty. So why not this? Jack looks older than she's ever seen him. His eyes are glassy, full of years he never shared. Because I was trying to protect you, he says softly. Your mother made choices, hard ones. She wanted to keep you safe, and I promised her I would. That letter should have stayed where it was. Amy shakes her head, her throat tight. Safe from what? From knowing the truth? From knowing who he is? Her voice wavers, but the anger behind it doesn't. She glances toward the house where the man, her mother's secret, waits quietly on the porch. You thought silence would protect me, but all it did was build a wall between us. Jack looks away, unable to meet her eyes. The wind picks up, stirring the grass around them. The ranch feels different now, not broken, but exposed. The truth has a way of stripping away illusions, and what's left behind is raw, honest, and painful. Jack finally speaks, his voice barely a whisper. He's your uncle, Amy, Marion's brother. They hadn't spoken in years before she passed. There were mistakes, debts, things she didn't want you dragged into. The words land like stones in her chest. An uncle, a whole piece of family she never knew existed. The letter wasn't about betrayal. It was about regret. Amy looks toward the porch again, her heart caught between anger and longing. For the first time, she sees the man not as a stranger, but as a ghost from her mother's past, a ghost who's finally found his way home. Jack steps closer, his voice gentle. Your mom loved you more than anything. Every secret she kept, every choice she made, it was always for you. Amy swallows hard, tears glinting in her eyes. Then maybe it's time I start understanding her, not just as my mom, but as the person she was before me. As night settles over Heartland, the stars begin to pierce through the darkness. Amy walks toward the porch, her boots crunching softly against the gravel. The man stands as she approaches, uncertain but hopeful. They don't speak right away. Words can wait. For now, silence feels right, not the heavy silence of secrets, but the quiet beginning of something new. Behind her, Jack watches from the fence line. For the first time in a long while, he lets go of the guilt he's carried. The past has finally been spoken into the open air, and with it comes a fragile peace. Amy looks back once, offering him a small, understanding nod. The truth didn't destroy Heartland, it reminded them what it means to face pain together. Morning breaks again over Heartland, calm and golden, the kind of morning that feels like a clean page. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of dew and hay. For the first time in days, Amy breathes without the weight pressing on her chest. The truth has changed everything, but not in the way she feared. The ranch hasn't fallen apart. The sun still rises, the horses still wait to be fed, and life, as it always does here, keeps moving. But something inside her has shifted, something deep and quiet. Like the settling of dust after a storm, she walks to the barn, her boots echoing softly against the wooden floor. Spartan lifts his head when she enters, ears pricked, as if sensing that the air feels lighter. Amy smiles, the kind of small, real smile that doesn't need words. She strokes his neck gently, whispering, "It's okay now." Maybe she's saying it to herself too. The truth hurt, yes, but it also brought clarity in with it. Peace. Outside, Lou is waiting near the fence, 2 mugs of coffee in her hands. "Truce?" she says with a grin, holding one out. Amy laughs, shaking her head, but takes it anyway. They stand there together, watching the field stretch into the distance. Lou nudges her lightly. "You look like you didn't sleep, but somehow you seem lighter," she says. Amy nods. "I guess carrying the truth is easier than carrying secrets." Lou's eyes soften. "You always were the brave one," she says. Amy looks out across the horizon, her thoughts drifting. "I don't know if it's bravery," she replies. "Maybe it's just realizing that silence doesn't heal anything. It only hides what's already broken." In the distance, the man, her uncle, helps Jack repair the old fence. The two work quietly, side by side. There's no tension now, only understanding. The past can't be erased, but it can be faced. Amy watches them for a moment, seeing something rare, forgiveness, slowly taking shape. Jack looks up and catches her watching. He lifts his hand in a small wave, and she waves back, her chest tightening with something close to gratitude. Later, Amy saddles Spartan and rides out to the open field. The sky above is wide and blue, the wind rushing past her face like freedom. Each stride feels like a release, the anger, the confusion, the fear all falling away behind her. She doesn't run to escape anymore. She rides to move forward. The sound of hooves pounding against the earth matches the steady rhythm of her heart. Strong, certain, alive. As she slows near the edge of the creek, she dismounts and lets Spartan drink. The water ripples in the sunlight, reflecting her face, not the same woman from a few days ago, but one who's learned that truth doesn't destroy love. It deepens it. It makes it real. She kneels, touching the water's surface, and whispers softly, "You did your best, Mom. And now, so will I." Back at the ranch, laughter drifts through the air, Lou teasing Jack, Caleb joking with Katie. The house feels warm again, alive. The storm has passed, but it left something behind. Honesty, fragile and beautiful. Amy walks back, the letter tucked safely inside her jacket. Not as a secret anymore, but as a reminder of strength born from pain. As the sun dips low once more, painting the sky in soft pink and gold, Amy sits by the porch, looking out at Heartland. The fences, the horses, the mountains beyond, they all seem to breathe in rhythm with her heart. She understands now that family isn't about keeping things perfect. It's about standing together when the truth finally shows its face. The day begins with a quiet kind of beauty, the kind that doesn't demand attention, but gently reminds you that life keeps going. A soft mist curls over the fields, the horses move slowly through the grass, and the distant hum of the creek fills the morning air. Heartland stands still, not broken, not bruised, just changed. There's a peace here now. Not loud or bright, but real. It's the kind that follows after long nights of truth, tears, and forgiveness. Amy steps out onto the porch, coffee in hand, wrapped in one of Jack's old flannel shirts. The air is cold against her face, but she doesn't mind. For the first time in a while, her heart feels steady. The truth didn't take anything away from her, it gave her clarity. The past is no longer a shadow she has to chase. It's part of her, woven into every fence post, every hoofbeat, every sunrise over this land. From the barn, she hears laughter lose voice, bright and familiar. Jack and Amy's uncle are working together again. Their conversation light, easy, filled with small jokes that soften years of distance. It's strange how quickly pain can turn into understanding when people finally stop running from it. The sound makes Amy smile, a small ache of pride warming her chest. This ranch has seen more storms than most hearts could survive, but somehow, it always finds its way back to calm. She walks down to the paddock, her boots sinking softly into the damp earth. Spartan lifts his head as she approaches, and Amy runs her fingers along his mane, feeling the warmth of his breath against her palm. "We made it through," she says quietly. "All of us." The horse snorts softly, as if agreeing. For Amy, this isn't just about surviving secrets anymore, it's about growing beyond them. Lou joins her at the fence, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. "It's strange, isn't it?" she says. "One letter changes everything. And somehow, it still feels like home." Amy nods, her gaze fixed on the wide-open fields. "Maybe that's what home really is," she replies. "A place strong enough to hold both the truth and the pain." As the morning light brightens, Amy's uncle walks toward them, hands in his pockets, eyes uncertain but hopeful. He stops a few feet away, and for a moment, the silence stretches between them. Then Amy smiles, not forced, not cautious, genuine. "You don't have to stay away anymore," she says softly. The man's expression softens, his shoulders easing. "I wasn't sure I'd be welcome," he admits. "You are," Amy answers simply. "You always were. We just didn't know it yet." Jack watches from a distance, leaning on the fence, a faint smile hidden under his hat. He knows that sometimes love isn't loud or grand. It's in small gestures, the willingness to forgive, to stay, to start over. Later that afternoon, the ranch is alive again. Katie rides with Caleb by the far trail, Lou tends to paperwork on the porch, and Amy walks through the stables, her hand brushing each stall as she passes. There's no longer fear in her step, no hesitation in her eyes. She's found her balance again between the girl who needed answers and the woman strong enough to face them. As the sun sets over Heartland, the sky turns to gold and amber. The horses settle, the wind quiets, and the day folds itself into peace. Amy stands at the gate, watching the land stretch out before her. She knows there will always be challenges, always moments of doubt, but she also knows the truth. Family, no matter how messy or complicated, is worth holding on to. The final light fades, leaving the sky painted with the soft glow of evening. Amy closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, the scent of pine and earth filling her lungs. The storm has passed. The truth has spoken. And in its wake, Heartland stands strong, not untouched, but unbroken. The sun dips behind the hills, spilling its last light across the land. The ranch glows in that golden hour, the kind of light that makes everything feel softer, more forgiving. Amy stands by the gate, her shadow stretching long across the ground. The world is quiet again, the kind of quiet that doesn't hide secrets anymore. Only truth, only peace. She watches Spartan graze in the open field, his mane catching the light like threads of fire. The wind moves gently through the grass, carrying the sounds of laughter from the porch. Lou, Jack, and her uncle sit together, their voices calm, their smiles easy. It's a sight Amy never thought she'd see. Three people once divided by silence, now joined by truth. The pain hasn't vanished, but it's softened, worn down by understanding. As Amy leans against the fence, her thoughts drift back to her mother. Marian's face appears in her memory, warm eyes, strong hands, a voice that could calm any storm. Amy finally understands what her mother must have felt: the fear, the love, the impossible choices. The letter that once felt like a wound now feels like a bridge away to know the woman behind the mother, the human behind the hero. She takes the letter from her pocket one last time. The paper is creased and faded now, edges softened by her touch. For a moment, she reads the familiar lines. the words that once changed everything. But this time, they don't sting, they comfort. She folds it gently, then walks to the barn and tucks it back into the journal where she found it. Not to hide it, but to return it to its place in their story. Some truths belong to the past, but their lessons live on. Outside, the sky deepens to twilight, stars beginning to pierce the blue. Jack steps out of the house, his hat tilted low, his gaze finding Amy across the yard. He doesn't speak, but he doesn't have to. His small nod says what words never could: pride, love, and the kind of peace that only comes after telling the truth. Amy nods back, her eyes shining. She walks toward the open pasture, Spartan following close behind. The world feels wide again, full of possibility. Every sound, every shadow, every breath of wind reminds her that this place, this land, this family is built on more than just history. It's built on forgiveness. It's built on strength. And above all, it's built on love. As the night settles over Heartland, a soft glow lingers over the ranch. The fences stand tall, the horses rest, and the stars watch quietly from above. Amy closes her eyes, feeling the heartbeat of the land beneath her feet. She whispers into the cool night air. No more secrets. The wind carries her words across the fields, through the barns, over the hills, a promise to the past and a gift to the future. Because in the end, Heartland isn't just a place. It's a feeling. It's the courage to face the truth, the strength to forgive, and the heart to begin again. And as the lights from the farmhouse glow against the dark, one truth remains: no matter how deep the silence, love will always find its way home.